Sometimes the people in our lives don't raise obvious alarms. There's no dramatic moments, no clear red flags, just a quiet tightening in the chest, a hesitation we try to explain away because we want something to work. In this episode, we're talking about intuition, that subtle internal voice and guard dog that protects us long before our minds catch up, what it is, how it works, and how learning to trust it is one of the most powerful forms of self-love. This is episode 2, Your Inner Guard Dog, Learning to Trust Yourself in Love. I invite you to settle in as we get ready to explore this concept. And if this conversation resonates more deeply than you expected, if you're navigating a relationship decision or rebuilding trust in yourself, I invite you to apply for private coaching at becomingpublishing.com. Structured, focused support can change everything.
Becoming the magnificence in me, empowered, strong, and gracefully, with poise and elegance, I can see I am who I was born to
be. Welcome to Becoming Conversations in Elegance and Empowerment, a sanctuary for women who desire to live with purpose, grace, and quiet confidence. I'm Senée Luchsinger, your host, author, and transformation guide. Gentlemen are welcome to listen in, but this space is intentionally crafted for the elegant woman becoming all she's meant to be. If this conversation resonates and you'd like focused private support, I invite you to explore private coaching. You can find more information anytime at becomingpublishing.com. Now, let's step into today's topic. There's a question I was asked once that stayed with me. A woman wrote and said, I'm seeing someone new who I really like, but my dog goes into attack mode every time he's around. I love my dog. He's been with me through everything. I feel like I have to choose. Do I choose my dog or my relationship? Without hesitation, my first instinct was, keep your dog and pay attention. Not because animals are magical judges of character, but because moments like that invite us to ask a deeper question. What happens when something inside us is sounding an alarm and we don't want to hear it? Animals have been used in therapy for years because they regulate our nervous systems. They ground us. They respond to emotional energy in ways that bypass language. What fascinates me isn't whether animals can judge character. It's that they often mirror something we already feel but haven't allowed ourselves to name. A close friend of mine once told me that animals and children are the best judges of character. She had a huge Great Dane named Goliath. That dog loved me. There was a time in my life when I stayed with them and he would run to meet me at the door, then proceed to sniff every inch of me. My friend said he was making sure I wasn't cheating on him. That always makes me giggle when I remember it. Goliath didn't like everyone, though. I was briefly dating a guy at that time who Goliath growled at like he was about to eat him. The guy was scared. He should have been, because that dog knew exactly what he was and what he was up to. It wasn't long until my friend ran into that guy with one of my friends from church. They were dating and I had no idea. He did the same thing to her shortly after that. I often wish that I had those animal instincts, until one day I realized during a slow awakening, beautiful and astonishing all at the same time, that I did have those same instincts. Most of us experience this, a subtle tightening in the chest, a quiet hesitation, a feeling we explain away because we want something to work. It's called intuition and is part of self-love. In my new book, Becoming Lavishly Loving, I talk about self-love as emotional protection, not walls, not fear, but attunements. Loving yourself lavishly means trusting the signals your body and intuition send you. Keep listening. I'll explain this in detail next. If this conversation is resonating and you recognize yourself in what we're discussing, I invite you to apply for private coaching. I work privately with a small number of women each season who are ready to rebuild confidence, strengthen emotional boundaries, and make clear decisions in life and love. This is structured, focused work, not surface motivation. If you're navigating heartbreak or life transitions and you want grounded private support, you can apply at becomingpublishing.com. I personally review every application. There's a myth that intuition is vague or mystical, but psychology shows something entirely different. Intuition is not a feeling in the air. It's one of the ways our brain processes information based on what it has learned. Intuition is our brain's way of making sense of emotional and experiential information before the logical mind even gets to speak. Scientists describe it as a fast, non-conscious process that lives side by side with analytical thinking, and it's shaped by what we've lived, learned, and paid attention to. When we're uncertain, our intuition can help us make fast decisions. A 2016 study published by the Association for Psychological Science suggested that intuition can help guide people to faster and even more accurate decisions when time or information is limited. In a 2005 study published in Management Learning, researcher Marta Sinclair explained, quote, "Intuition in decision-making is defined as a non-sequential information processing mode where information acquired through past experience is assessed unconsciously and helps shape judgments quickly," end quote. Your intuition is not dramatic. It isn't loud at first. It whispers, and if you ignore it long enough, it escalates. Sometimes it shows up as anxiety. Sometimes as exhaustion. Sometimes, metaphorically, as an inner guard dog barking. For years, I overrode my intuition in the name of being kind, open, or understanding, and every time I did, I paid for it emotionally. Not because I was wrong to hope, but because I wasn't listening to myself. I was not honoring the most important person and relationship in my life, the one I have with myself. I wasn't trusting my gut. These bodily feelings are not just in your head. Quote, "Neuroscience suggests gut signals communicate with brain areas tied to emotion and cognition, which helps explain why a feeling can feel real in your body," wrote Professor Justin James Kennedy in a 2024 Psychology Today article. They call your gut your second brain for a reason. While the feelings may not be directly in the lower part of your belly, the bodily signals you receive are worth listening to and investigating. Just because a gut feeling feels certain doesn't mean it's automatically right. Research reminds us that confidence can outpace accuracy, which is exactly why self-trust and reflection matter. When you learn to pause, name what you're feeling, and look for patterns rather than react impulsively, you're training your inner guard dog, not silencing it. Self-trust is one of the most intimate forms of self-love. When you trust yourself, you stop outsourcing your safety to other people's potential. You take back your power and sovereignty. You begin to move through relationships with clarity instead of fear. Ironically, that makes love safer, not harder. As Melanie Beattie wrote in The Language of Letting Go, quote, "Self-trust is a healing gift we can give ourselves. Trust ourselves and we will know whom to trust," end quote. The more I practiced listening to my internal cues, the faster and clearer they became. Not as paranoia, as discernment. There's a difference. Stay with me and I'll explain and give you some practical advice on how you can put all of this into practice in your own life. Many of the ideas we're exploring this season are expanded on in my newest book, Becoming Lavishly Loving, available on Spotify, my website, and most online booksellers. It explores intuition, emotional boundaries, and protecting your inner world with elegance. For women who are ready to apply this work in real time, not just understand it intellectually, I offer a private 3-month coaching container where we rebuild confidence and clarity from the inside out. You can learn more and apply at becomingpublishing.com. Discernment is calm. It doesn't panic. It simply knows. Learning to honor that knowing is part of becoming a woman who protects her inner world with elegance and strength. Intuition is vital, but it isn't flawless. Overconfidence is a real cognitive bias. The overconfidence effect often explains how people feel more certain about their judgments than the evidence actually supports, meaning intuitive confidence can exceed accuracy. This topic has been widely studied by researchers Don Moore and Paul Seale and published in 2006 by Psychological Review. Even if the feeling is real, it must be interpreted with grounded awareness. Cognitive research on the overconfidence effect warns us that feeling certain isn't the same as being correct, so discernment matters. In Becoming Lavishly Loving, I explained this idea deeply, that loving yourself isn't indulgence, it's stewardship. It's recognizing that your emotional life deserves protection and care. Trusting your intuition is one way you lavishly love on yourself. It says, my inner voice matters. When you honor it, you create relationships built on alignment instead of negotiation with your own discomforts. So, how do we actually strengthen this inner guard dog without becoming hypervigilant? Here are a few gentle practices. First, name the sensation. When you feel hesitation around someone, pause and ask yourself, what am I noticing in my body right now? Curiosity builds clarity. Second, separate fear from intuition. Fear is loud and catastrophic. Intuition is quiet and steady. It feels like a calm knowing rather than panic. Third, gather data slowly. You don't have to make dramatic decisions immediately. Simply observe. Patterns reveal truth over time. Fourth, keep small promises to yourself. When you honor your boundaries in what feels like minor moments in small ways, self-trust strengthens. Then it becomes easier to listen in bigger moments. Finally, allow yourself to adjust. Trusting yourself doesn't mean being perfect. It means staying in relationship with your own awareness and refining it with compassion. Your intuition is not an enemy of love. It's a guide toward the kind of love that feels safe, expansive, and aligned with who you're becoming. Learning to trust yourself is a lifelong conversation. And guess what? Every time you choose to listen, even quietly, you reinforce the most important relationship you'll ever have, the one with yourself. When you trust yourself, your body, your mind, your internal signals, your internal guard dog always protecting you, you make choices anchored in self-respect, not self-doubt. This, more than anything, is what it means to love yourself lavishly, to listen, to learn, and to protect your inner world with elegance and courage. Thank you so much for spending time with me on Becoming Conversations in Elegance and Empowerment. If something in today's conversation spoke to you and deeper focused support feels right, I invite you to explore private coaching at becomingpublishing.com. Until next time, stay elegant, stay empowered.
Becoming the magnet.